All right. Good morning, boys and girls. This is lesson 8, common and proper nouns. I hope you had a great break and are ready to get back to work. I know I sure am. So you need to turn to page 40, and you're going to need your red and green colored pencils today. So whenever you have those, come back and start the lesson. Okay, now that you're back, we're going to go over something that is very simple this week. Should be review. You've been having common and proper nouns since you were in first grade. So this is definitely going to be an easy grammar lesson for you. So let's get right to it. And it says a noun is a word that names a person, place, or a thing. A common noun names any person, place, or thing. So it says the girl visited the fountain in the park. Girl, fountain, and park are all common nouns. They don't name a very specific one. It could be any of them. So that is a common noun. A proper noun names a specific person, place, or thing. It can be one word or more than one word. So Julia visited Bethesda Fountain in Central Park. So Julia, Bethesda Fountain, and Central Park are all capitalized because they name a very specific person or place. And so they are capitalized. Now I want you to notice the place. They have two words like Central Park. Both of the words are capitalized. It says each word in a proper noun begins with a capital letter. So over on the left side of the chart, the first two columns, they give you some common nouns like a person, a teacher. Well, if I wanted to name a very specific proper noun, I would say Ms. Jones. All right, and you notice that they capitalize those. So common nouns would be a place, it would be a city, a proper noun would be Los Angeles, and they capitalize both words. The last one says a thing, statue, and then the proper noun is Statue of Liberty. I want you to notice that they did not capitalize the O in of because that's one of those, I hate to say it's an insignificant word, but like when you usually have a title or something like that, like of, a, and those don't get capitalized. A lot of times the does not either, but that's a different case. It all depends on if it's at the very beginning of a title or something like that. And it says ideas such as fear and greed are called abstract nouns. You can't see or touch them, but they are still nouns. This is the one usually most people forget about. So when you think of a common noun, you need to think of person, place, thing, or idea. Okay? Abstract nouns are always common nouns. And it says greed was his undoing. Greed, in that case, is not capitalized because it's a proper noun. Greed is capitalized because it's the very first word of the sentence. So greed is an abstract common noun. All right, let's go ahead and look at practice set A. Very, very easy. The very first thing I want you to do is I want you to notice that the right-hand column is the proper noun column. I want you to take your red colored pencil and I want you to circle all of the capital letters in those. Like in Mexico, you would circle the M, okay? In October, you would circle the O, and so forth. That's how I'm going to know if you did the lesson with me, is if I see that circle around those letters. All right, then after you're done with that, I want you to take your red colored pencil, and I want you to match these up. I want you to put the proper noun letter over in the common noun box. So on number 1, it says month, and so that's going to be letter B, October. So go ahead and do that whole thing, okay? And then I want you to come back and we'll check the answers together. This should be fairly easy for you. I don't think you should have any problems. So do this and come back. Okay, now that you're back, go ahead and check your answers. On number 1 should be B, number 2, A, 3, D, 4, C, 5, E, 6, H, 7, F, 8, I, 9, J, and 10, G. All right, so that was very, very easy. Oh, but we're not done. Now I want you to take your green colored pencil and flip over to page 196 in your workbook. While you're looking for that, I'm going to talk and tell you why we're doing these lessons together. We're doing these lessons together because when you get there, you're going to notice that lesson 43 is on capitalizing proper nouns. Okay? So when we do a proper noun names a very specific place or a thing. Okay? So if you'll notice, I had to leave off idea there, really, because that's an abstract noun, not a proper noun. So it's each important word in proper nouns begins with capital letters. And they tell you names of people, pets, and special groups, the names of special places, the names of days, months, and holidays, family titles, and we're going to come back to that specific one, and then titles of respect, such as Mr. Luna, Miss Elkins, Mayor, Quinn. Now, you have to remember that mayor, doctor, president, all of those are the title of that person, so they're going to be capitalized just like you would capitalize Mr. or Mrs. It's their title, so it needs to be capitalized. Let's go back up to the family. It says family titles that refer to specific people begin with a capital letter. So they give you Grandma, Uncle Dave, Aunt Sue. Well, Uncle Dave and Aunt Sue are very simple or easy to remember because they're naming a very specific one. Now, Grandma, if you were to say Grandma Ellie, okay, then you would capitalize G in Grandma, the E in Ellie. Now, here they just give you an example of Grandma. Every time you see the word Grandma in a sentence, you don't necessarily capitalize it. The only time that you capitalize grandma or grandpa or aunt or cousin or whatever it is when you're very specifically talking about mine. So if I were to say, my grandma went to the store, then you would capitalize G. If I were to say the grandma went to the store, then you don't because you're not talking a very specific grandma. But if you were to say my grandma, then that's when it's capitalized. That's the trickiest one. And I'm not going to try to trick you up on it, but I want you to remember that if we're specifically talking about, and we put the word like my in front of it, then you're going to capitalize it. All right? Or if you were to say, Mr. Ben went to the store, Mr. Ben went to the store and his grandma went with him. Well, in this case, we can specifically say whose grandma. Well, his is referring back to Mr. Ben, and so you would capitalize grandma in that case. If you specifically know which grandma they're talking about, then you have to capitalize it. Okay, let's go ahead and go to practice set A, bottom of 196. It should look like this. Now, on mine, I'm showing there, when I did the PowerPoint for this, it's underlined some words because it was telling me, hey, you forgot to capitalize it. Well, I intentionally forgot to not capitalize it because you need to do that. So I don't know if it shows up on yours, but on mine, I gave a little red squiggly line under some of my words telling me I forgot to capitalize it. But like on number 1, I can't tell if you see this or not, so it's kind of crazy. On number 1, the last Monday in May is Memorial Day. On my screen, it shows a red line under the word Monday because it's saying, hey, you forgot to capitalize that, which I did because Monday is the name of a day, so it needs to be capitalized. But you're also going to notice that there's 2 other things in there that needs to be capitalized also. So the word May and the word Memorial Day should also be capitalized. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your green colored pencil. You can underline, highlight, circle. I don't care. Okay, just as long as it's done in green. So you need to underline Monday in green, May. Why May? Because May is a month. Why Memorial Day? Because Memorial Day is talking about a holiday. So those 3 things need to be highlighted, underlined, or whatever in green. Now, I want you to make sure that you don't underline in and is, because if that's underlined, then that's wrong. You're not supposed to capitalize those words. So be very careful with that green colored pencil on what you're highlighting. So I want you to go through 2 through 10, and you'll notice that, like as in number 1, there may be 1, there may be 2, there may be even 3 things that you need to capitalize in each one of those sentences. So don't just find 1 and quit. There may be more. So go ahead and do that. Number 2 through 10, come back and check the answers. This should be fairly easy for you to find these examples. Okay, now that you are back, let's go through them. Number 2, People from Maine to California honor those who gave their lives for our country. Okay, I specifically see two names of states, Maine and California, so those need to be in green. Number 3, the holiday began in 1866 in Waterloo, New York. Okay, so Waterloo, New York is a very specific place. So Waterloo is the name of the town. New York is the name of the state. So both of those need to be capitalized. Number 4, at that time it was called Decoration Day. Well, I see a very specific name of a holiday, Decoration Day. So that needs to be in green. Number 5, different states celebrated this holiday in April, May, and June. I specifically see 3 months of the year, April, May, and June, that need to be in green. Number 6, in 1971, Memorial Day became a legal holiday throughout the United States. I see 2 different things in this one. I see a holiday and I see a place. So Memorial Day and United States should be in green. Number 7, this year, Dennis and I marched with the Cub Scouts in a parade. This one's the tricky one. I see 2 different things here. I see a person and I see a group of people. So Dennis and Cub Scouts need to be in green. Number 8, the parade began at Lakehurst Elementary School. One specific name of an elementary school. So they highlighted Lakehurst Elementary and school. You have to make sure you put the elementary school behind that or it'll be wrong. Number 9, it ended on Main Street, talking a very specific street. So Main Street should be in green. And the last one, number 10, Ms. Hernandez led the band and Mayor Dixon gave a speech. I see 2 different things that need to be highlighted. They're both people. One is Ms. Hernandez. Ms. is already because it's at the first. And Mayor Dixon. You have to remember to highlight the mayor part also. Because let's just say if it was Mr. Dixon, you would highlight Mr. Or Dr. Dixon, you would highlight Dr. Mayor or president or representative or senator, all of those need to be highlighted because that's their title. Okay, this should have been a fairly easy lesson for you because these are skills that you learned. This is just basically a review, so you should have no problems with that. So hopefully you did well. And gosh, I guess we go back to school tomorrow. I will be anxious to see all your smiling little happy faces, and I will see you tomorrow.